So yesterday I talked about headphones, but today I am going to be talking about this little thing. This is a DAC and an amplifier. A DAC is a digital to analog converter. An amplifier takes the sound from a DAC and amplifies it so that your headphones can actually produce sound. This is true for not just headphones, but also speakers or anything like that. Like these are for speakers and headphones. These will only run headphones though, because these things don't run a lot of power, but you can get a DAC and an amp. They're built into your phone and they're built into your computer. They're built into anything that outputs a digital sound. So if you're listening to this right now, then you're listening it through a DAC and an amplifier. A DAC, like I said, can make a big difference. It takes the ones and zeros and it turns it into an analog sound that the amplifier can use. So a low quality DAC can have a lot of distortion, a lot of misses of the ones and zeros, and just DACs can actually become distorted and they just don't sound right, and people who are more experienced in listening to music and just critiquing sound can pick out the little details that actually make a difference in your music, right? Like you can probably hear the choppiness. There's something called bit rate, which is kind of similar and not in the same way. Is your bit rate. A low bit rate, you can hear the distortion. Have you ever heard of 8-bit games? You can hear like the crunchiness and it sounds very 8-bitty. So it's very much similar to that. You can kind of hear the computerized elements with cheaper DACs and investing in a good DAC. This is a portable DAC and amplifier, so you can take this anywhere, is a really good option. An amplifier is very important as well, because an amplifier takes that sound, amplifies it, so it can create a lot of distortion, and it can also color the sound. Coloring the sound is when you take a signal and you change it up a bit. You can make the sound warmer. So like instead of a song, it's like very hollow and it doesn't really like resonate very well, and turn it into something that's super warm, that's like full. Anything really. It could be the opposite effect. It could be a solid state amp, which is like the baseline of amplifiers, which just try to take the DAC signal and whatever file you're listening to and boosting it up cleanly as possible without distorting the music in any way. There are tube amplifiers. Here's a picture right here. Are pretty cool looking. So they distort your sound a lot. That's their goal, is to distort the sound to make the sound better than it was originally. And with different headphones, it can make a big difference. And amplifiers go a long way. A DAC and an amplifier, you definitely want to pair a good combo, because there tends to be a DAC bias too, where DACs can make a difference in your sound with an amplifier, where it kind of can distort the music as well, and it kind of just amplifies through the amplifier and through your headphones. And headphones are like the last thing that like feed the music. If you have a headphone, so you have a DAC and an amplifier that are completely transparent and don't distort your music at all, your headphones are going to distort the music. So when you're actually mixing music and stuff like that in the studio, you want a headphone that's pretty flat, and a headphone that has a frequency response graph that's actually going to be pretty like unbiased in any direction. You don't want added bass, cut mids, or anything like that, because you want to be able to hear the music the way it's intended to be heard. So when people actually use their software and their actual equipment, it sounds like, you know, they have a bass line and then they basically just add their own taste to it, right? You don't want to mix on a headphone that's not meant for mixing on. Like these, for example, are very mid-focused and they roll off in the bass a little bit, and the highs are just all over. And for mixing, it might sound great on these headphones, but if you take the same track, put it on something else, it's gonna sound like trash because they're mixed for these headphones. And when you mix for a certain pair of headphones or certain speakers or headphone speakers, whatever, it tends to like distort the music in a way that just doesn't sound pleasant on some devices. So it's important to have a flat frequency response. And so having a nice DAC and amplifier is definitely not essential, but it can help you pick out the little flaws and the little things that are wrong with the music before you even press publish and upload for everyone to see. So a DAC and an amplifier are super important. So what's a good combo, right? So like I said in my last video, I recommend the HD6XX by Sennheiser. Any headphone by Sennheiser, essentially. I love their headphones. There are tons of competitors out there that do a great job, but I've owned a couple pairs of them. I have like earbuds made by them and stuff too, and I just love their brand. I'm not saying they're the best, I'm just saying that I personally believe in them. And I will say this, like with the 6XX, I would pair it with something like the Shit Modi, which I know sounds kind of funny. Look it up, it's a real thing. And the Shit Magni Minimum. So I actually have the Shit Asgard because it has a tons of power and it's a very clean amplifier. It sounds very true. It might be a little bit warm, but it's all in all, it's a really good amplifier. It'll power any headphones that you have well. And if you look to upgrade from the 6XX down the road, it will take you miles because those will push basically any headphones and they'll sound great. And with the Modi DAC, that's like $100. It was $100. I think it's 110 now, but it's a very clean DAC and it's cheap relatively. So I would invest in something like that. But definitely the amplifier. I think the Asgard is like $200. If you want to get the Modi is also great. It just runs a little less power and it's not as clean in my opinion. It's about $100, $110 as well. I'm not sponsored in any way, just so y'all know. Just honestly, like those are two brands of Sennheiser brand and Shit are both two brands that I absolutely love, and I think that you guys would find some enjoyment out of them as well. Don't expect like, oh man, if you did get the 6XX or anything by Sennheiser or anything along these lines, just don't expect crazy bass. So having a lot of bass, especially when it's not done well, can easily distort the music and make it just like not sound good. Like just put simply, it will sound muddy, not detailed. It'll ruin the rest of the range and you'll basically just feel bloated while listening to music. And these have a roll off in the bass. It doesn't have too much harshness. You can hear the mids and the highs pretty well. And I love that sound signature. There are some people that love the super high bass, so it really is just up to preference. Try different things and you might find that you like something that's more detailed. Like these are perceived more detailed because they have less bass, you know, stuff like that. But yes, a DAC and an amplifier are very important pieces to your headphone, or even, you know, a speaker setup, because a speaker also uses a DAC and an amplifier. So if you get passive speakers, meaning speakers that don't have like power plugs to plug into them, then you're going to have to consider them for those as well. Those are very expensive though. I myself just have powered speakers which have a DAC and amp built in, and I enjoy them. I just enjoy them because they're loud. They sound pretty good, but they're nothing compared to what like the DAC and amp that's built into something like this, or a more dedicated DAC and amp that you have set up on a desktop, like the Shit Modi and Modius or whatever shit you want. And so yeah, like honestly, that's basically the end of the video. I just wanted to get you familiar a little bit with DACs and amps and why they're important. And yeah, that's basically it. So if you guys enjoyed the video, just let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.